Hello everybody, and I'm Johanna with EverImprovingMe, Advice with a Slice of Life video blog. The other day I did a actual blog post on labels and, being yourself. I'm not exactly sure what I called it. Oh yeah, I think something like sticks and stones, and how words kind of hurt you for, they do, they echo around in your mind. They never really go away. Like, you can learn how to lessen their impact, but they always, words, they always matter, always, because words are, they actually mean more, I think. I don't know, but they get in there and they touch a part of you that's real and very, words are like alive, where wounds, though, well, I guess it depends, it all depends. But labels, been thinking a lot about labels lately, at least the past couple days. Because in society there are so many labels that go around. This is kind of going back to the blog I did the other day about how we need to start the video blog and having some uncomfortable conversations. Like, okay, I do things every day that I take for granted that other people can't do. And I didn't realize that. Some of them, I never did until I was living with my last roommate. And he pointed a lot of things out, because he's had good candor. He spoke quite frankly. And that was one of, he was pretty cool like that. So, like, for instance, one day I walked over to the laundromat and it was so hot and dusty in there. And I decided it was too hot to do laundry. And there was a woman in there doing laundry, and she said it was so stuffy. And she looked like she was going to pass out, and I looked around and all the windows were closed. So I just climbed up on the dryer and started opening windows. And, then I just came back home to the apartment. And I didn't think anything of it, and later I was talking to my roommate about it, and he said she never would have opened the windows on her own. And I was just like, why? It was so hot. I couldn't see why anybody else wouldn't have done what I did. And he asked, was she a person of color? And I thought about it, and I was like, well, I guess so. Does it matter? And he said, yes. And I was confused again. Why? Why does it matter? He said, because you are white. If a person of color was to climb into a window, they're going to be treated with suspicion. What are you doing in the window? Where if you're in the window, maybe people smile and laugh, maybe wave. And I realized that's probably true. How wrong is that? How many other things that you do on a daily basis, regardless of the color of your skin, your race, your religion, think about the things that make you uniquely you, and what you do in your daily life that maybe somebody else couldn't do. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you drive a tractor in an area that says only guys can drive tractors, but you never really thought about it. But if a woman was to get up in that tractor, she would really be looked down on. Or maybe you're a woman, or, you're a nurse, woman nurse, in an area that it's really frowned upon for a man to be a nurse. And if a man tried to step into the same role you do, he would really get frowned upon. Those are just some things I can think of really quickly. But, then add race, color, or sexuality, or religion into the mix on top of any of the male or female thing, and then even add other genders or into the mix. You have a lot of stuff that could go wrong, and this is where we need to start being more open as a people. And this is where, if you can do something and you see that something is not being done, do it. You know, don't wait for somebody else to do it, because what if somebody else can't do it? For whatever reason, you know, don't wait for somebody else to do it. It may never get done. Or help somebody. Helping people is not a bad thing. You know, maybe somebody is going to have a lot of pride. But that's another thing. We need to move over our pride and, you know, start being willing to accept help. And we need to stop being so separated. You know, like I grew up, okay, when I grew up in an area that was, like, I didn't see a person of color until I was, I think, 13 or 14, okay? Any color. The only people I saw were a wide variety of white people. So, I grew up with a lot of misconceptions because I grew up all over different rural, southern, white, really, really rural areas. So, I'm going to say some things that might offend people. I grew up in places where a lot of extreme prejudice and white supremacy ruled the day, as well as a lot of chauvinism and anything else is offensive even to myself. But I didn't even realize the depth of the misconceptions that I had grew up with or had in my mind until I moved away and started meeting more people and getting exposed to new ideas. For instance, I didn't realize I had grown up prejudiced, right? Even though I was a good person, I didn't realize I had prejudiced ideas instilled inside. But then I started meeting people of other colors, and I was like, what do you mean? I was like, wait a second, I was told anybody who wasn't white was no good, and anybody who wasn't white was, you know, a thief, and anybody who wasn't white was, you know, dirty, and those are some of the nicest things I was told, okay? But no, people who weren't white were just like me. They were just a different color skin. So I tried to tell my family. I was like, guess what? You're wrong. You were wrong all this time. You probably didn't know either. Because we were just living where nobody else was. And I ran into something else I'd never seen before. Disbelief or outright denial in the face of a truth. Because I was told those are the kind of people you talk to at school, but you don't bring them home. So that was my first experience realizing, that was me realizing what prejudice was. Because until that point, I didn't actually understand what had been happening. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but that was when it hit me. Oh, it's not because it is this way, it's because they just want to believe it's this way, and I don't have to think that way. And that was that was when I started rethinking every idea I had been exposed to. Okay? So, you know, maybe you haven't had that aha moment yet. And maybe you grew up exposed to lots of people, which is great. You know, and I mean, I grew up fairly open-minded, even for where I grew up. But it wasn't until I started meeting new people and expanding my mind even more, because you have to face that, you know, you're taught all these judgment calls and values and, you know, morals and things, ethics, I don't know which way it goes, you know, as you're growing up, but you don't have to choose to follow what you've been taught. You have a mind and you have a brain and you can choose to use it how you see fit. You have the mind to question. You have the intellect to do such. You know, you can say, people are people. You know, judge if you must, because we all make judgment calls. But try to, you know, like we talked about before, step past the judgment and give people a chance. Because you're going to see people are people regardless of their skin color, regardless of their religion, regardless of their sexual preference, regardless of their food preference. You know, regardless of where they shop, what clothes they wear, what area of town they live in, what country they're from, if they prefer purple over indigo, cats to dogs, you know, watercolor to yarn. People are people. Give them a chance, question your misconceptions, question your judgment calls. Wonder, am I believing this because I really believe it, or because this is something I've been taught? Question everything. And stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves, because everybody needs a champion. Everybody needs a hero, and you can be that somebody. You can be somebody's hero. Chances are you already are somebody's hero. So be that hero. And until next time, this is Jonna, EverImprovingMe. If you have questions or comments, suggestions, leave them in the comment section, or email me at EverImprovingMe advicevlog, that's with a V, @gmail.com. Thank you.